Well, this is a huge question which we can only begin to explore here. But even talking about the existence of evil raises some questions. What is evil? Where did it come from? What is the standard by which we decide some things are evil and some things are not? And why do we care about evil? Where did the capacity for us to care about evil and be compassionate about it, well, where did that come from? But I know that this question is not just a philosophical question. We may have been personally affected by evil in our own life or in the lives of those that we know and care about and love. And so we may respond, well, how can a good God worthy of my worship allow people to be murdered or have acts of terrorism or children to be abused? I guess we would agree by any standard these things are evil, but how can there be a God who allows these things and yet is still worthy of my worship? Well, here's the headline. God allows evil in this world to point us to the greatest evil of all. And that evil is not how we treat one another. That evil is how we treat God. See, the Bible says the biggest evil of all is our rebellion against God as our good creator. And the first 3 chapters of the Bible, God gives us that truth. Genesis chapter 1 verse 1 says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It tells us that God created the entire cosmos, everything we have discovered and will discover and will not discover. The Bible says God has made it. And therefore God is the creator and God is our creator. And as creator, he is the one who is uniquely qualified to decide what is good and what is evil. And yet we read in Genesis 2 verse 9, that in God's creation, it contained within it this tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And God told Adam and Eve, the first humans that he made, that they could not eat from this tree. They could have life forever with him in the wonderful world that he had made, but in that tree was a choice. A choice whether to trust that God knew best about good and evil, or whether they could know best about good and evil. And in Genesis 3, Adam and Eve make their choice. They choose to reject the God who knew best about what is good and evil. And when they ate from that tree and they rebelled against God, all that is evil and terrible entered the world as God judged them for rebelling against him. I think it's hard for us to understand how massive that was for Adam and Eve to reject God. And I think it's hard for us to understand how massive it is for us to reject God now. And so one of the reasons that God allows evil today is to point us back to that moment. The evil in the world around us now is a wake-up call from God to show us the results of our rebellion against God and point us to something far worse. That however horrible murder and acts of terrorism and child abuse are, and they are horrible, it is a worse thing to live in rebellion to the God that made us. The God that gives us life and breath and everything else. And yet the good news is that we don't have to stay living in rebellion to God. We don't have to one day face the forever punishment that our sin, our rebellion against him deserves. Because when God's Son Jesus came 2,000 years ago in history and died on a cross, he made a way for us to return to him, to be in relationship with him once again. And so God shouts to us in the evil he allows, wake up. See in the evil around us our need to return to God, to return to our Creator, and to come to Jesus, the only hope of rescue.